Hello and welcome back again to Dave's Delights. As always, I'm Dave and I'm delighted to be here with you. And oh, what a delight it is today. Today I get to make you a recipe that brings back so many great memories for me. It throws me back to New Year's Eve at my best friend's house in it was like 8th or ninth grade year, whatever. No, actually, it might have been high school. Either which way. We were at New Year's Eve. We were partying like 1999 because it was, and my best friend's mom had out for this New Year's Eve dinner. All of a sudden, I saw this big plate. It was probably an entire salmon with a dough mound over it that had been cooked inside. And she had actually gone into this extra detail of having these scales and everything, which I've never been able to successfully reproduce. But what it is it's Salmon Wellington. And today I'm going to make it. And every time I make it, it takes me back to being younger. And it's something that inspired me to become a chef or cook. Believe me, I'm not a chef. So we're going to make that today. Now, what we need a certain number of things. This is actually not as difficult a dish as you might imagine. First thing we need is salmon. I got 1.5 pounds. You can do between 1 pound and 1.5 pounds, depending on how big your other stuff is. Since I've got 1.5 pounds, because I'm going to have it for several guests, I trimmed it and stacked it up, so that way it's going to be in a tight mass. I have 2 cloves of garlic, which are chopped, and 2 tablespoons of butter. I have 1 shallot that I've chopped kind of roughly. I have 5 ounces of fresh spinach. I have 2 tablespoons of salt and pepper, which are divided, so it's teaspoon, not tablespoons. 2 teaspoons of salt and pepper divided. So I've got 1 teaspoon and 1 teaspoon of salt, and then I have 1 teaspoon of pre-ground pepper, and I'm going to grind pepper on the other one. And then I have a 1/4 cup of finely mashed up breadcrumbs, 2 tablespoons of fresh dill, and then I have some puff pastries. I have 2 sheets here. We should probably only need the 1, but it depends. Since this is a larger piece of fish, I'm thinking I might need to make it a 2-piece, so I've got them out and ready. And then I have 1 beaten egg, which is here, which we're going to use as an egg wash for the pastry. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get the innards ready to go. So we're going to switch over to the stovetop. And by the way, the oven is preheated at 425 degrees. But we're going to switch over to the stovetop now to cook the vegetables. I'll see you over there in just a second. So the first thing we have to do is we got to get this pan hot, which I've got it on the fire going. It starts at high heat, and then I'm going to adjust it as we're cooking. Now it's time to add our butter. This is 2 tablespoons of butter. And we're going to move that around the pan because we want that to melt. And as this is melting, just want to make sure we get full coverage before I put anything else on. And now I'm going to add my shallots. And man, nothing quite smells like shallots other than shallots, although it is somewhat oniony. I do, in a lot of things I prefer them, but it all depends on the recipe. But it goes really well in here. And now what we're trying to do is get this and our garlic in here, and we're just sweating it a little bit. We're getting all that butter melted up and sweating this out, making it a little more translucent. And now that has sweated, the butter is melted, it is time to add our 5 ounces, which is this entire package, of fresh baby spinach. You get a couple falling over the side, no big deal. Now this might seem like, how is this possibly going to work? But you'd be amazed at how thin, and how much this cooks down. So now I'm going to put this down to like medium-low heat because I don't want to burn anything. And I need to add my teaspoon of salt, my teaspoon of pepper, and we're going to mix this up a little bit. Remember, wash your hands. All right, now that I've got that mixed in, I'm going to put a lid on this and just kind of let it slowly, not slowly, but it won't take very long. But I'm not going to do it at high heat. I'm going to move this down to low heat, put the lid on, and I'll be back once this is sweated out. Okay, it's been 3 minutes. Probably closer to 4 minutes. And if you look now, all that spinach, this is what it cooked down to. And that is looking really nice. It's cooked through, and remember, it's going to go into an oven, so we don't have too much to worry about here. I'm going to add my 2 tablespoons of chopped dill in and my 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs. Mix all that together, and this is coming off of the heat to wait until we're doing final assembly for the oven. So this is our filling set up right there. I'm going to put the lid on it, let it stay warm, and I will see you guys back at the other station for the next step. Welcome back. And now that we're back, we're going to start working on our assembly. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my salmon, and I'm going to take some of my salt, and I'm just going to kind of shake a little bit of the salt up over the top of this salmon. That's half of it. And then, so I can have a more even thing, I'm going to take my pepper grinder rather than just having pre-ground pepper. And that's on the top. Now this is ready to put down onto what we're about to do. Like I said, this is a lot easier than it looks. So now I've got a piece of parchment paper here. That's down. I'm going to take one of my puff pastries, and I'm going to lay it out, which is always a little bit tricky. Luckily, they've got these little sheets of paper in here. Remember, don't cook the sheets of paper. Okay. And I want to stretch it a little bit, because this is going to puff a lot. So I'm just stretching it out. And from here, I'm going to put my salmon, my salmon in. So I'm going to flip the salmon right into the middle. And then I have to season this side too. Give this a little bit more of a pull. I want to have some space on either side. I'm going to put just a little bit more of this dill in here on this side. And here comes the rest of my teaspoon of salt. There we go. That is seasoned. On comes the pepper. And then on top of this, I'm going to put my spinach and breadcrumb and everything else mixture. And this is a little tough because it is very heavy and it is still quite warm. And don't worry, you can clean up after yourself as you go. Just want to get a nice coating on there. Clean up these pieces. And now I need to put my next puff pastry on top of this. Because as you can see, with all the volume here, that's not going to fit over it. So I'm going to lay this guy out. Take off that sheet. That part gets laid out in the middle. And now I need to roll this over like this. And I'm trying to get this all encased. And you think, oh, wow, that's a lot of puff pastry. Well, it isn't as much as you think because there's a lot of fish in here. So that's actually going to balance pretty nicely. Now, this is going to be the bottom. So since that is nicely wrapped, I'm going to use a little trick that I learned. Lay another sheet of parchment out, and there's my board. And now I can flip, remove my cutting board, and ta-da! I have a nice little pastry ready to go in the oven. There's a couple things I still need to do though. I need to cut a couple of slits for steam. And I need to use my brush and my egg wash to wash the bejesus out of this. We're going to wash it. I want to have egg all over this. And that one piece of white there is fighting me, but that's okay. It's going to cook up just fine. A more yolk. Now, if I wanted to, I could take the extra time and make this look like a fish. What I have found is every time I try to do that, because I'm using puff pastry, all the features kind of they disappear into the puff. So instead, I'm just making it a regular package today, and we're going to make the presentation be what makes it so pretty, because I'm going to be serving this as slices. So now this is going to go into a 425-degree oven for 25 minutes. And what we're looking for is golden brown. Believe me, the salmon inside is going to cook up just fine. So we're going to get this golden brown on the outside, and at that point it'll be ready to pull. And if it needs 22 minutes, that's good. So at around 20, start watching. And if you need extra minutes to get it where it needs to be based on your oven, no problem, but around 25 minutes. So this is going in. I will see you guys back in about a half an hour. All right, the alarm has gone off and it's time to get our salmon out of the oven, which of course means I need to use my bare hands. Only way to get things out of the oven, especially when it's salmon. And oh my goodness, look at how good that looks, nice and brown. And let me close the oven lid because it sure is quite warm in there up against my back. So we're gonna let this cool for a couple of minutes and settle, and then we'll be back for final preparation and plating. I'll see you guys then. All right, this is cooled enough so that I can serve it. So we're going to cut in. I just want you to have a little look. Look at how nice that came out on the inside. The salmon is nicely done, and everything is ready for plating. So I'm going to get a nice portion here. And I'm going to slide that out onto my plate. And I've been test kitchening this for about a week, so we've served this a couple of times. And what I found is it's really good, but it needs something. And there's several types of sauces that you could put on this particular meal. The ones that I think of the most are going to be a beurre blanc, a lemon caper, or a dilled hollandaise. Now, I tried all of them, and every time I tried one of the other ones, I said, man, I wish this was hollandaise. So we ended up, I made myself a hollandaise. Now I'm gonna link in the description where we actually discussed making this. It's the Eggs Benedict episode, but I will link that in the description. But I have pre-made my hollandaise sauce, which I am now going to drizzle right over this piece of fish. And then I'm going to add a little bit of extra dill, make that rain from heaven. And because I thought the lemon capers were pretty good, but I wish that I'd had some more hollandaise flavor with it, I'm just going to add a little bit of caper here because that also goes really well with salmon. I like just spreading it around. Now I have my salad, which, as you know, I like to pre-prep there. Shake on my vinaigrette that I got at the farmer's market. And this is ready for eating. Now, as I said, this brings back all kinds of memories. And I want to say, Mrs. Strauss, every time I make this, I think of your kitchen. And I have a kitchen that reminds me of your kitchen now, so I'm really happy to be making this for everybody. For everybody else, give it a try. Let me know if you like it or not. Show me some pictures. Send me other suggestions. And if you haven't already, hit like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Have a nice day.